At the heart of Manila, the bustling capital of the Philippines, trash isn't merely a place where food ends up. For thousands of people, it's where they find their next meal. This is the story of Pag-Pag, a meal salvaged from the waste of society. Pag-Pag, which literally means to dust off or to shake off dirt, has taken on a new meaning here. It symbolizes a meal of survival, made from food discarded by others, mainly coming from fast food restaurants. While most of us might turn away from leftovers in the trash, for many of Manila's urban poor, these leftovers are a way to beat hunger. Pag-Pag can be bought for as little as 6 pesos, or around 10 US cents. For those living in these neighborhoods, where jobs and food security are scarce, this provides a solution to the unbearable pangs of hunger. Creating Pag-Pag is no simple task. Every day, scavengers roam the dumps of Manila's slums, like Tondo and Payatas, to search for what others might consider waste. They collect leftovers of chicken, rice, or even vegetables. Once these leftovers are gathered, they are taken home, washed thoroughly, often in water that's not entirely clean. They're then cooked. Sometimes fried, sometimes boiled, and sometimes served just as they are. The Philippines has a poverty rate of about 18.1% as of recent reports, which means that around 19 million people struggle to meet basic needs. In slum areas, where jobs are scarce and food prices are high, even a meal from a street vendor can be a luxury. For families living on 50 pesos or less per day, fast food is not an option, and neither is regular market food. But Pag-Pag, at 10 pesos or less, is accessible. Pag-Pag fills a gap where government aid and economic opportunities fall short. In places like Tondo, one of Manila's poorest neighborhoods, residents have few choices. People here work as waste pickers, tricycle drivers, or casual laborers, and they often go home with wages barely enough to buy rice, let alone fresh meat or vegetables. The Philippines is one of the most densely populated countries in the world, with over 109 million people. Many low-income families live in cramped, overcrowded spaces, and resources are stretched thin. Overpopulation in urban areas puts intense pressure on employment, housing, and food supply. For a family of 6 or 7 living in a single room, any source of food becomes valuable. It's heartbreaking, but in crowded communities where food access is limited, it serves as a lifeline, providing some relief to struggling parents who can't afford to feed everyone. For many, eating Pag-Pag has become normalized. Growing up seeing others rely on it, the stigma fades over time. Some Filipinos have even developed recipes, adding spices or vegetables when they can, to make it taste better. In a culture where resilience and adaptability are celebrated, Pag-Pag becomes more than just discarded food. It's a form of resourcefulness, a way to make the best out of little. This normalization is part of what enables people to survive. It's common in areas like Basico Compound and Smoky Mountain, where generations have lived in poverty. For many, Pag-Pag becomes just another part of life. But Pag-Pag comes with a heavy price. Because it's made from leftover, discarded food, it often harbors bacteria and pathogens. Studies by the Philippine Department of Health found that residents who regularly consume Pag-Pag are at higher risk of foodborne illnesses like diarrhea, parasitic infections, and other gastrointestinal issues. For many families, these health risks are just part of the price they have to pay. They don't have the luxury to think about long-term health. They are focused on surviving today. Without access to proper health care or affordable food, the cycle of poverty and malnutrition continues, leaving families caught between hunger and illness. While some organizations try to help, the problem is massive. Food distribution programs, shelters, and community kitchens are not enough to meet the needs of millions living in urban poverty. Nonprofit groups like Rise Against Hunger Philippines work tirelessly to distribute food and raise awareness about poverty and hunger. But with so many in need, even their best efforts barely scratch the surface. Without systemic change, without addressing the root causes of poverty and hunger, Pag-Pag will likely remain a reality for many Filipinos. It's a temporary fix for a much bigger problem that requires structural solutions, from better employment opportunities to affordable housing and access to quality food. For those of us watching from afar, Pag-Pag is a reminder of the immense privilege many of us have. But for Filipinos who rely on it, it's a testament to their resilience. Each meal of Pag-Pag represents their strength in the face of adversity, a fight for survival that many of us cannot begin to imagine. This story isn't just about food, it's about people, families, and communities. And while we might find it difficult to comprehend, we can still show compassion, support organizations fighting poverty, and advocate for policies that address these injustices. Because everyone deserves to have food that nourishes, not just fills, their bodies.